Hi there, I'm Scotty Rock from the System8 Media Network.
And I'm Rika from Annieville. We're coming to you live, Comic-Con 2012 in New York City. We're with Dennis Lee from Namco Bandai to talk about Ni No Kuni, the PS3 game that's coming out in...
January is the release
January
date?
of 2013, yep.
I think it's the day after my birthday. Sorry, I just had to throw that out there.
All right, so first order of questions I have for you. The storyline, it's not exactly the happiest way to start off a story, is it? Do you have any comments about like how the storyline came to be thought about? Did Miyazaki have any input in that?
So the storyline was it was developed by that team at Level 5, and they wanted to create something that they felt could associate with kids of all ages, but then also something that felt very much like a Studio Ghibli-esque type story. So the story starts out pretty simple, but then of course there is kind of that tragic beginning, at the beginning of the game.
I noticed playing the demo here that a couple of the characters represented some names of other Miyazaki films. I saw Porco Grosso. Is that going to be an added thing? Are there more little puns of other characters in other films in the game?
When Level 5 was creating the game, there was a lot of different things that they wanted to put in the game for those hardcore Studio Ghibli fans. So some of the more obvious ones are the boss, that's Porco Grosso.
Right.
But then if you look through the cutscenes and the different areas in the game, you'll actually see a lot of nods to different films. Whether it's you'll see something that has the same camera shot and kind of the same setup as an iconic scene from a Studio Ghibli movie, or it could be the name of a character, it could be a pun off of another name. There's just lots of little Easter eggs and secrets for those Studio Ghibli fans.
Awesome.
I have a question. So the PS3 game is being localized this year. Are there any plans to localize the DS game, which came out first?
For Namco Bandai, so we're just concentrating, we're just publishing the PS3 game. As far as the DS SKU, Level 5, they were looking at the title, looking at the possibility of bringing that over to the West, but there hasn't been any real new news on that.
And are there any big differences between the American version and the Japanese version? Because the Japanese version, if I'm correct, it was released last November. So it's been out in Japan for a while. Yeah. Are there any big differences, between the two versions?
So a bulk of the game pretty much stays the same between the Japanese and the Western versions. All of the downloadable content that was released post-launch for the Japanese version is all going to be included day one on the Western version. So that's a big plus. One of the other things that's actually similar is the Western game is going to keep the Japanese vocals. So all the voiceover will be in Japanese. There's also an English dub as well, so you kind of have your choice of which one you want to listen to, and then you can choose what kind of subtitles you want, either none or English, and then it also has French, Spanish, Italian, German, the whole thing.
Very, very cool.
So the game's been out for a year now in Japan. What kind of sales has it been having, and what kind of reception are you expecting in the US? Because I know a lot of people who are very excited about a Studio Ghibli game coming out.
Yeah, the reception so far for every time we've shown the game, whether we've released a new trailer, new screenshots, or we've come to events like Comic-Con here, every time we've shown the game, the response has always been just really, really positive. A lot of people actually didn't really know that it was a game. They would kind of walk by the booth, they'd watch a trailer, and they'd be like, "Oh, I thought this was a new Studio Ghibli movie." And then once they get to see the game and the in-game engine, everyone's just been really happy with it because of that co-work done by both groups. So we're expecting the game to do really well.
Very nice. My last question is, playing the demo, the music is outstanding, the graphics are absolutely amazing. How much input does Miyazaki actually have? Obviously his movies is a lot different. Does he have that much, input into making the game? How much does he have, if you do know that at all?
I can tell you part of this. So Studio Ghibli, originally they were only really tasked with creating all of the animated cutscenes for the game. So Level 5 had created kind of the initial kind of story arcs. And then Studio Ghibli with Momose-san, who's one of their, one of the directors and the artists over at Studio Ghibli. He and his team then basically storyboarded and created all of those animated cutscenes, which are the most integral moments in the story of the game. At the same time, after that, every time Level 5 had new areas to show, sketches from backgrounds, from different rooms, different places in the game, they would share that stuff with Studio Ghibli, and because they loved the project so much, they would actually give feedback back. And so, they would, one of the examples I know was with the environment for Oliver's room. So most of the time for game development, things are kind of designed and laid out, which is what makes the most sense from the player standpoint. And so when they gave those sketches over to Studio Ghibli, they looked at it and they kind of looked at, Oliver's room, the setup, his desk, and all of the things that were there, and they were like, well, this doesn't really look like it's, a desk of a boy actually living here and using the desk. And they really kind of tasked Level 5 with think about if you were living here, this is your desk, where would you put everything? Where would things be easy to get to? And because of that, all those little touches, all the little details, when they developed the game really came through. So that's why when you look at the environments and all the little animations, all of that feels very much like Studio Ghibli had created it themselves, but it came about from Level 5 creating it with a lot of feedback from Studio Ghibli.
That's amazing. I know on behalf of myself and Rika, we're very excited for this game. On behalf of myself, again from Comic-Con 2012, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Look forward to the release.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.